A film producer has described Marvel Studios' huge loss of value with the Marvels as, quote, rare and hard to do. Yet they made it look so easy this past weekend. An anonymous film producer provided Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios with some backhanded praise, describing the Marvel's box office bomb as something rare and hard to do. The Nia DaCosta directed and Brie Larson starring the Marvels movie bombed at the box office, only bringing in $46.1 million domestically, the worst opening weekend in Marvel Cinematic Universe history. Not only did it perform terribly at the domestic box office, but it only brought in another $62.8 million internationally for a global gross of $108.9 million, the worst global opening in Marvel Cinematic Universe history. Reacting to the disastrous opening weekend, an anonymous film producer had some harsh words for Marvel Studios producers and the Walt Disney Company while speaking with The Hollywood Reporter. The producer questioned, why not simply make Captain Marvel 2? Why produce the Marvels when your audience identified, empathized, and even hero identified with Brie Larson's character? I'm not really sure that they did that. I'm pretty sure that the movie made the buku bucks that it made because it was sandwiched in between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. And Avengers Infinity War had a post-credit scene making it look like that movie Captain Marvel that came out in between them would be a significant part of the story between the two films. As we found out, it had nothing to do with Avengers Endgame. Nevertheless, this producer goes on and says, more importantly, why offer people similar or the same characters and stories that are on Disney Plus if you expect them to go to a theater together? Disney Marvel diluted their product. Of course, a picture works or fails for other reasons too, but losing so much value, picture over picture, is rare and hard to do. The loss in value the producer is likely talking about is the drop in box office revenues between Captain Marvel and the Marvels. Captain Marvel had an opening weekend of $153.4 million domestically. It would go on to gross a total of $426.8 million domestically and add another $702.7 million internationally for a global haul of $1.1 billion. Box office and financial analyst Valiant Renegade predicts the Marvels will likely peter out at the box office between $200 million and $250 million. If the Marvels hits that high-end mark of $250 million, it would still be a nearly 80% decline in box office grosses from the first Captain Marvel film. On the low end, at $200 million, it's an over 82% decline. Absolutely massive, massive decline. As for the question about making the film Captain Marvel 2, Marvel Studios originally announced the Marvels as Captain Marvel 2 during the Disney Investor Day 2020 presentation. During that presentation, Kevin Feige said, the fact about Ms. Marvel is that her idol is Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel 2 is currently in the works with director Nia DaCosta. And today I'm excited to announce that Ms. Marvel, played by Iman, will be joining Brie Larson and co-starring in Captain Marvel 2, along with the grown-up Monica Rambeau, played by Teyonah Parris, who you will have already met in the upcoming WandaVision. He concluded saying, so by now you should start getting a sense of the interconnectedness that infuses all of our storytelling. Alongside his comments, they shared a graphic reading Captain Marvel 2. You can see it right there. The Captain Marvel 2 moniker would be publicly ditched back in May 2021 without an explanation. However, a rumor at the time from Drew Deitch, I'm not sure how you say his name, but a giant freaking robot, he said, according to our source, Brie Larson saw Captain Marvel 2 turn into the Marvels because the powers that be at Marvel Studios did not feel that she delivered in the first one on her own. It was clear that the folks at Marvel Studios were not confident that another solo Captain Marvel movie was strong enough to stand on its own two legs. It's likely there were a number of reasons the film's title was changed from Captain Marvel 2 to the Marvels. One of the big reasons might have been to reduce Larson's prominence in the film. Given the reception the first one had from moviegoers, the film received a poor 6.8 out of 10 rating on IMDb. It's also likely Marvel Studios had internal metrics that detailed much of the original film's box office, was likely due to the expert marketing and scheduling that sandwiched the film between Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Not only was the film sandwiched between those two films, but the end credit scene of Avengers Infinity War hinted that Captain Marvel was essential viewing for Avengers Endgame. As I said earlier, it was not. Another reason is they likely hoped that the film would get audiences interested in their Disney Plus offerings of Ms. Marvel and WandaVision, where Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan and Teyonah Parris's Monica Rambeau were heavily featured. I think we got some of that in that announcement that Kevin Feige did indeed make at that Disney presentation in 2020, where he was talking about the interconnectedness of the storytelling, really trying to push the Disney Plus platform, because that was the Walt Disney Company's goal at the time, was to really focus on their streaming stuff. So I think those are probably the two big factors as to why they changed the movie. But let me know what you make of this, and what do you make of this criticism this anonymous producer has provided to the Hollywood Reporter about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige, and the Walt Disney Company.
Subscribe for more.